and the parents. There's a ton of military obligations. So Wednesday morning at 6:30 in the morning, this poor kid's going to be in the stadium mustering for a graduation rehearsal at 7 on Wednesday morning of commissioning week. It's the only time we can get the whole brigade together to do a graduation practice, because otherwise they're torn in 1,000 different directions. So he's going to have a lot of military obligations that week. He or she are going to have a lot of military obligations that week that they have to contend with, running back and forth to the yard. So prioritize what things are important to you, where you got to be, what things that you have to do. And then watch for the conflicts, and then think about where you're going to move your people, how you're going to move your people, considering traffic and time when moving people around. All right, next slide. Commissioning ceremony. Gates open at 6. They'll let people start loading inside the stadium at 7. And I'm telling you, we're going to have a lot of families that go, I got to get in there and save my seats. Okay, some people are going to do that. The mid's going to be mustering up by the big scoreboard on the horseshoe end, and so they have to be there early. There's a lot of things converging on Navy Marine Corps Stadium that day. It is a work day. The government will probably be in session. People are going to be parking there. People are going to be coming down Route Boulevard. I can't tell you how many times I've come down and I've seen poor kids, midshipmen, jumping out of their cars and running down Route Boulevard because Route Boulevard became a parking lot. So just think about the time and what time you have to be there. A lot of families will just bring a cooler and they'll tailgate in the parking lot for a couple hours. So they'll bring coffee, they'll bring donuts, they'll bring orange juice, and they'll sit out in the parking lot, bring some chairs, and just relax for a little while before getting into this stadium. But at 9 o'clock, the mids will process down the hill from the horseshoe end, and then at 9:30, the staff come down. 10 o'clock, we begin the ceremony with the arrival of the official party. 10:03 or so, Blue Angels fly over, and then we go into it. The stadium, or the ceremony, has some jumping off points. So if we elected to go with a graduation commencement in the rain, we can shorten it. We can not do any diploma awards. We can do diploma awards for just the top 100, or we can do the full Monty. So there's built-in jumping off points. So if it's raining really hard and you see 100 kids go across the stage and they go, hey, thank you for being here, that's what happened. They're going to want to jump off. Now, when President Obama was here, I really thought they were going to shorten the event. We took all of the diplomas and we stuck them up in the tents, the soups tent and the captain's barbecue tent, because we didn't want to give them their diplomas in the rain. So we gave them a dummy diploma when they came down off the stage, and then we gave them we had their company officers meet up in the tents and give them their diploma afterwards in a bag. So there's scenarios that we'll deal with if that happens, but it could happen that it's raining so bad that we have to call it off. I don't expect it to happen. It would have to be extreme circumstances. The event will go till 12:30, easily 12:30. From 10 o'clock, and they start doing the speeches, it'll easily go to 12:30. And then they're going to do the hat toss. And then we got to figure out how you're going to find that ensign or second lieutenant who's down on the field so that you can do the shoulder board, cover exchange, and then figure out how you're going to get out of the stadium. Next slide. All right, we kind of talked about this. It might be a little redundant, I'm sorry. If we do go indoors for the graduation ceremony, they'll keep the graduation streamed up on the big boards. So if you have gone to the stadium and we really haven't made the call yet, you can go into the stadium with your poncho on and watch the graduation on the big screens. But if we decide that we have to move the official ceremony indoors, we've screened you, magnetometered you, put you on a bus with a Secret Service agent, and ran those 4 people per mid onto the yard. All right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everything's streamed, indoors and outdoors. And for folks that if something comes up during the week and they're in the hotel room, just bring a laptop. Just watch it on the laptop, right? Next. So this is an overhead shot of where the Navy Marine Corps Stadium is. And I bring this up just as part of that follow-on to that. Everybody wanting to come down Route Boulevard mode. There's a lot of different ways to get to Navy Marine Corps Stadium. You can come, if you're up in the Arnold area, by the community college, you've rented a house up there on the Magathie River or something beautiful. You don't have to go to 50 and come in on Route Boulevard. Come across the 450 bridge and come in the back way. If you're on the south side, down in Davisonville, Riva, Edgewater, you can go down West Street and come in behind Germantown Elementary Come in, avoid the traffic. I'm telling you that because everybody's going to want to come on 50 and go down Rail Boulevard with 3,000 of your best friends at the same time. And it gets to be a parking lot out there. So find multiple ways of getting into the stadium and out of the stadium that can accommodate your needs. Next slide. All right, we're going to start talking about the details now, where people are sitting and how the flow goes. So again, on the right there, the little e-cruiser guy, the little shuttle, there'll be multiple little e-cruisers driving around in the stadium parking lot to move folks that look like they're having trouble navigating the parking lot. So your kids are going to know, obviously you know what company your kid's in. So even to port, odd to starboard, as you're looking at the stage. Blue side is odd companies, gold side is even companies. Every year I'll mention this, and every year it'll happen. You'll have multiple families with handicapped guests that have gold tickets, and they'll park in the blue side. And now they got to get the handicapped people around the horseshoe over to the gold side. There's handicap parking on the gold side, and there's handicap access on the gold side. Drive your car over there and get out on that side. Likewise on the blue side. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for a difficult day. So know which company, obviously you know which company you're in, but pick the side of the stadium, park there, and come in. Next slide. Odds and evens. Here we go again. So from the bottom, you see where the stage, because this is POTUS, even more so than any other year, there's restricted areas close to the stage. So the red areas, section 1, 2, 101, 102, is probably going to be tagged out off limits. They won't let anybody anywhere near the stage so that they can bring people in and out in an emergency. In those corners, those tents down in the corners is what I mentioned. The Soup's Barbecue is over here, and I'm backwards from you guys. So, sure. So the bottom of the screen would be Taylor. The back would be Farragut. So the horseshoe end, I'll just call it for terminology here, the horseshoe end with the grassy hill and some seats, that's the Farragut side of the stadium. The open end, what I call the open end, even though Brian Goff yelled at me about it, it used to be open. Now they got all kinds of seats and stuff down there. That's the area, that's the way they'll bring in the VIP, and the in-way and out-way. We got to get them in, get them out of the stadium. So as you come in, the blue side would be the mid side, and the gold side would be the visiting team side. So even numbered companies will be on the gold side, odd number companies will be on the blue side of the stadium. Those little parallelograms, for lack of a better word, the little yellow ones, that's the on-field seating for the VIP guests. Or if you're a legacy, or if you have multiple kids here, you'll get 2 seats down there. Or the top 100. And then the odd number companies will be on the one side, the even number on the other. So the blue areas are where the midshipmen, the underclass midshipmen are going to sit. So that's going to be full of all the seconds, thirds, and plebes. And then the gold area will be kind of that company restricted area where people will have 6 tickets in the company assigned seating area, because that would theoretically be the best viewing area, and I'll show you in a second why. But all of the other areas are open to the public. The green, that's where all your overflow is going to go. And those screens are huge, so if you sat back in the horseshoe end, you're going to have a great view either way. Next slide. So the top 100, the procession for the top 100 is different from the regular company graduation procession. So the top 100 are going to stand up in a row, and they're all going to go in the same direction. So if you follow the arrows, they're all going to go on that flow. They're going to come up the stage. They shake hands with everybody. The Commandant of the Marine Corps, CNO, President, Soup, down the other ramp, and then they seat. Okay? So their flow is different. So if you're top 100 and you want to get that one, miracle shot photograph, you're going to want to be on the side of the stadium where they're going towards. If you follow me there. Next slide. Sir. Is it okay? It's not only okay, it's expected. And don't yell at some mom that wants to get down there and take that picture, because she's going to leave in like 2 minutes. So It's expected. Get up, go down there, take your good picture, and then move back, okay? Because there's a lot of people that are going to be flowing through there. It's expected. So the regular graduation procession, ma'am, did you have a question? Okay. So the regular graduation processions, they get up and they move to the center aisle, and then they come down. They'll walk up the stage, and depending on if they're even or odd, they're going to shake hands with the president, then either the CNO on one side, Commandant of the Marine Corps on the other side, and they're going to go down the ramp on that side. So that's why they have, like if you're an odd-numbered company, they want to give you the kind of the restricted area seating so you can get a picture of your kid coming down the stage that way. So everybody got that? Does that make sense? Okay. Ma'am, we'll go through the questions.
Yeah, if you're in the overflow section and you've got an even number of kids, can you walk down through the stands to get in front?
Can you walk down through the stands even though you're sitting in the green area? Of course. There's going to be concessions, coffee, food, and it's cool up there. You're roasting in the stands. You know your kid's coming up. Get up, move down, go down the tunnel. There's going to be a lot of people with the same idea. Just get your picture in. The people in there, just do the best you can to accommodate folks. It's just what happens, so expect it. But you're absolutely expected to see people coming on down those tunnels to take pictures. Yes, ma'am. There is. Elizabeth, is there an official photographer? There's multiple official photographers. We'll get some details on that. But
multiple professional. I'm not sure who's going to do it this year.
Can't hear. Okay. So the question was, well, is there professional photography services if you don't want to schlep a big heavy-duty camera in there? Yes, multiple options, and then I'll come in your package that comes home to you guys here, and when they mail them home in April. Yes, ma'am. Good question. Alphabetical by company as they're coming through. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and you'll hear it very clearly. And as they get to Mr. Zeander from the first company, they'll say, and now from the second company, or now from the third company. They announce it very clearly. That's true. The graduation program actually lists every kid, so you can actually kind of follow along. What was that name? Right. You'll have to go back and forth between an even company and an odd company, but you can trail along as you hear the names and know when it's getting close to yours. Yes, ma'am.
When you're talking about where everyone sits, I mean, how do you have an ID card? How do you prove, or which section is in the honor system?
It is, and the tickets will have it'll say the tickets.
Remember to repeat the question so we can get on video.
How are the tickets? How do you know if you're overflow, general admission, or restricted area? It says it right on your tickets, and they're color coded. So if you try to get into the restricted area with 75 people, the ushers that are standing there are going to say, let me see the ones that are for the restricted area. All you other ones, go upstairs or go down to the midshipman area. Ma'am? You only get one question, I'm sorry. Yes. Number one first, number 107 or whatever. It's 10%. It's not top 100. It's 10%. Exactly. They'll flow in exactly. How do they flow in? How do they process into the stadium? Exactly how they're going to seat. So number 1 and number 19 will be standing next. Well, actually, it's probably 1 and 38 are standing next to each other, because as he gets to the point where he turns, number 1 goes to the first seat, and the guy on his left goes to the 38th seat, because I think they're 19 seats apart. Maybe it's 18. But yes, they know. They do. Yes, man. Top 10% sit in a row, and then the company fill in, and they do it exactly. And that's why we practice this. That's why we get these guys up at 6:30 in the morning to make sure they don't goon it away on commissioning day when everybody's watching. And we'll practice the indoor version of it as well, because it looks a little different. Sir. Yes, so we'll go over the procession again. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, I think it is, they're going to muster back in the horseshoe area underneath where the big, huge scoreboard is, back in the horseshoe area. That's where they're all going to muster. And then by 8:30, 8:40, they'll start lining them up. And then at the top of that grassy hill, there's a set of stairs that runs down all the way to the field, and that's where they'll start lining them up. 1, 38, 2, 37, and they'll get them all in a nice order, and of course they'll have practiced this too many times in their mind, but they'll have practiced this so they know who to stand next to, who's in front of them and who's behind them. Okay, ma'am? Do they hydrate the mids? Yes, so every midshipman will have bottled water underneath their chair. It gets put under there at 5 o'clock in the morning by a crew of folks. The VIP seats, because they know that it gets about 130 degrees down there on the AstroTurf, there'll be water underneath their seats as well. The mids in the blue area will also have water, because the NABSD will buy water for the mids. So we'll have that all loaded in the morning. So we will hydrate them. But I will tell you this, they're going to be staying out till 2 in the morning drinking every single night. So no amount of hydration we can give them is going to be enough to keep them feeling good at 9 o'clock on Friday. They're going to be feeling cruddy by 9 o'clock on Friday. Was there more hands? In the back. It is. We'll go through that real quickly.
Question, please.
Oh, how is the handicap mobility seating arranged, and how is that ticketed? Is that any different from the regular ticketing that you get? And the answer is yes. Every handicapped person will have a special ticket, and they're allowed to have one attendant in the handicapped seating area. So let's see if I can point this out easily. It's so much easier for me to look on this side. So on the blue side, which to your screen side would be the right. God, it's so much easier for me to look up here. So on the left, okay, is the blue side. You know, the green area where the mids sit in the open seating area. At the top of the lower section, there's a long row of handicapped seating. And the way to get there, there's ramps right by where the mid seat or down here by the superintendent's tents. And it's the same on both sides. So there's a specific number there, and that's what they're going to be worried about when they ask for how many people need to sit up there. So if you're in a wheelchair or very mobility limited, you'll get one attendant, and then there'll be ushers there that are watching those tickets to allow you up into that area. Okay? And if the demand exceeds the supply, they'll start cording off area up on the horseshoe end where it's flat, and we can get more restricted areas in there for handicapped. But that's where we're trying to get a really good count, because one year it'll be 400 handicap needs for 200 seats available, and then they got to go make accommodations. And the next year will be 190 handicap needs, and it's fine. So every year we got to get those counts down. Yes, ma'am. When do the mids have to give the numbers? I think it's around spring break. So I don't think they've asked them yet, but you all can start asking questions of yourself so that when the numbers do come up, you can tell your kid, get me 20 seats in the open, 6 in the restricted area. I need 2 handicapped. So you can kind of script it for them, because they'll get very forgetful. If you're seated in the reserved area, can you improve your position as your mid comes up? Typically, no. Those restricted areas have by name seating. So you're going to see a chair with a placard on it with your name, and there's very, very few empties at that point. Some people might get up and move around, and you can sneak up there. My wife does this effectively every year. She'll sneak up in there, and she'll get a whole bunch of pictures of like the entire company. So if you're in the 25th company, anybody else in the 25th company? Jan is the Bear Shark mom that hangs up gazillion pictures in the Bear Shark mom Facebook site. She'll be up there, and she'll take a gazillion pictures of 25th company. I can promise you that, right? All right.
Yep.
And if you see her afterwards, just give her your name and she'll take pictures of your kid too, I'm sure. Any other hands? Yes, sir.
So,
Legacy is going to get 2 tickets on the field, and then you're going to also tell your mid that you need some handicap seating, and then you want your 6 restricted area company seats. So you're going to tell them you need a variety of different things. I'm going to pick out my people that are handicapped, my 1 attendant for each one of them. You're going to list that out all for him, so then when he fills out his little list of what he needs, he sends it all back.
a couple of good questions over here that I'm processing the information. One, no umbrellas in the stadium, even if it is hot or raining. Buy your ponchos now. Or, have a fan or something, no umbrellas for shade. The other question was the bag policy and bringing things in. We're working on that if it's going to change to a clear bag policy. Usually, as you know, at Navy Marine Corps, it's just a bag. You can bring in anything. You just have to have it searched. There also is, I don't believe this year they're going to allow water to come in from the outside. You're going to have to purchase water.
They haven't in the past. They haven't allowed any liquids or foods or anything like that to be brought into the stadium.
But all these details we're working on to get confirmed with POTUS coming, and we'll hang it on the website. But like bag policy, umbrellas, those will stay relatively the same, and there's water in the stadium to purchase.
Yeah, then there's food vendors, and there's lots of things that you can just go hang out in the whatever the concession area is, get out of the out of the sun for a little bit, get a little shade, cool off for a few minutes, and then go back up there. Yes, ma'am. Annie Shine from Florida.
It's going to be
What was the question?
What's the size limitation on any type of bags? It's not going to be like NFL stadium policy where you have to have a clear bag,
Right.
but you will be inspected, obviously, and somebody's going to root through all your stuff. So the line to get into the stadium, if you're carrying a large bag, is going to be that line where everybody has to get through there with the sticks and pull everything apart.
Wow.
Ma'am.
Or it has to be searched.
Duration, and so many people leave,
I'm going to stand right next to
a midshipman, their person with their certificate, person with
Yeah,
and
they're
then
going to limit that.
I mean, what, is there, people are free to go, come and go, or do you expect, is it?
The question is, how long do you have to stay there? If your kid is in first company, and are you going to have to suffer through till 12:35? Yes. Now, I will tell you that it can be very frustrating and distracting if people are from the first company and they're like, oh, it's over for us. Let's go have fun and goof off and be loud and noisy. And the poor folks in 29th and 30th company, I was in 35th company, so I was like the last kid to cross the stage. I'm sure everybody was fed up with graduation by the time I crossed the stage, but we asked the people to be respectful and help cheer on the kid that's in 30th company and his last name is with Z, right? So, as a matter of fact, he'll get a big standing ovation probably because people will be pretty happy to have him done. Hands over here. I haven't looked over this way. Yes, ma'am. In a non-POTUS year, is it a little less restrictive? They tend to relax some of the seating area, but they still don't like to have people too close to the stage, but there are no magnetometers. Magnetometers for sure only on a POTUS or a V-POTUS year. Whenever Secret Service is involved, the scrutiny level goes much higher for security reasons. Sir in the back. The question is regarding legacy. Who gets the VIP access? I would imagine that if you're a non-grad, but you're in uniform, I'm hoping that the protocol people know who you are. If they don't know who you are, we can help try to, facilitate that introduction. But we might not know that the mom of this midshipman was in the service or the dad of this midshipman was in the service necessarily. So we have to get that information to them. Now, if you're a flag officer, I'm sure the protocol people know already. But there are certainly cases, I'm sure, where the protocol people are not aware that there's an active duty person in the stands that they need to be made aware of. So we have to try to get that information to protocol so they can do what's right politely. Mids will be asked, yes. Mids will be asked if they have guests. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, so the statement was, as the mids are filling out their ticket requests, it'll say right on there if you have 06 or above. If you had a sibling that graduated from another university, I'm not sure exactly how that would be treated. Like if she was a lieutenant from, Rochester or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that would be done. I don't think that that's going to warrant VIP seats on the floor, though. I doubt it. Any other hands over here? Yes, ma'am. Is there liberty restrictions during the week at night? Underclass, yes. Upper class seniors, no. Matter of fact, let's talk about that briefly. How does that go, the move out? Because a lot of people will be on Facebook panicking about the move out and what's going to occur during the move out. I'll just start by saying any midshipman is welcome to remain in Bancroft Hall up through graduation day. So if they don't have a place to go, they don't have a sponsor, they don't have any family coming into town, they are welcome to stay in Bancroft Hall right up in the time they put their chokers on, they go to the stadium. Now, there could be some other combination of that, but they're actually permitted to move out of Bancroft Hall as soon as their last examination is done. So for us locals and for Maryland Sponsor Mom from years back, we are starting to get ready for it. So I had 12 kids and 13 that moved in with me after their last exam. So this weekend, I'll probably be in my basement, organizing my basement, because they're coming and there's nothing you can do about it. So you just have to be prepared. Hopefully they'll do it on their own. They're not going to ask me to carry heavy things, but they're coming and they're going to go to their sponsor's house, or in some cases you might have come up with a rental earlier. They'll wait and they'll move into your rental directly. There's so many different scenarios here, but they do not have to be back to the yard at night. They just have to be back for 6:30 muster on Wednesdays, and there's certain events that they're going to have to be back on the yard on. And can they get in trouble commissioning week and not graduate? Yes. Has it happened? Every single year. Every single year that I'm aware of, it has happened. And there will be people that don't commission on Friday because there's something they do commissioning week. It happens every single year. It's very sad, but it occurs every single year. Sir. I'll see if I can repeat that a little bit. So some of the folks here might have a sibling as well as the graduates. Can the sibling get out overnight and not have to go back to the hall? Yes, but by chit, and it depends, because the underclass are probably going to be standing a lot of watches that week, standing a lot of the duty business associated with that. So it might be tied to whatever duty responsibilities they have. But in some cases, you might have liberty for the underclassmen as well. And then the second part of that was uniforms remaining in the hall. Clearly, each company officer is going to have different levels of expectation of what those first class are going to look like, smell like, breathe like as the week goes on. And no company officer wants to be embarrassed by having to go over to the commandant and say, my first class midshipman got drunk last night and he's not capable of marching in the color parade. That's not a conversation that company officer wants to have. So he may impart some more pain onto their first class by making them show up early enough that he can smell them and shave them and dress them and make sure they're capable of marching in the parade. So it could be that you have a company officer that's very restrictive and maybe a company officer that's less restrictive, but certainly there's some expectation that you're capable of performing your duty that week, whether it's marching or crossing a stage to get an award. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, the question is, will the commissioning week activities follow the same pattern year after year? And the answer is yes. Some of us remember us trying to do graduation on the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend. Anybody remember that? It was a disaster. We tried to convince them not to do it. We begged them and pleaded with them. It was a disaster. We've learned from that mistake. That was back in, I guess it was 11 or 12 time frame. And it was just a horrific disaster of trying to hold all these commissioning week activities through Memorial Day weekend. The city of Annapolis people were not pleased with us when we did that. So we've learned from that mistake. I think that we're in violent agreement that Herndon will be on Monday and we'll graduate on Friday every year from now on based on those mistakes. Yeah.
I can tell you from doing this booklet that we handed out. I can tell you from doing the booklet that y'all got when you came in, I take that schedule each year and I put it in. It's exactly the same, pretty much. I mean, maybe tweak one or two. I made a mistake, almost made a mistake this year and forgot to change the years of the Herndon and the ring dance. So that's how much the same it is. I didn't even get into that part. So
every once in a while you'll get a new leader that steps in that wants to put their mark on things, though, like we had with the no grease on Herndon one year. This year they tried to move the color parade to the afternoon and the prizes and awards in the morning, and we went through months of arguments over why that needed to be in that flow. So it hasn't changed. I don't expect it to change. There's hundreds of events that have to occur, and you can only have so many spaces that you can fit certain numbers of mids in, and they have to flow sequentially. So I really can't see this thing changing much at all. Yes, ma'am.
When the gates are closed for the Blue Angel practice and the Blue Angel performance, are the pedestrian gates still open, or do they shut down all access in and out of the yard?
Just the vehicles.
Okay.
Just the vehicles. Pedestrian can come and go as they need to. Ma'am in the back.
As well as a local innkeeper. We talked to a tenured sponsor family and a local innkeeper, and they were trying to guide us in terms of like when to have maybe the more private family, close family and friend gathering for commencement. Do you have personal opinion there? Because there's an obvious logistic that goes on with that.
No,
including the
absolutely.
handicap.
That's a great question. And I guess I have to start by saying it depends. If you're in first or second bat and you're having your bat reception on Sunday night, you probably wouldn't want to do something on Sunday night. If you have a group of people that really want to go to this the graduation ball on Wednesday night, probably wouldn't want to do it then either, or you want to do it at a time where you can accommodate both things. So it's going to depend company by company, bat by bat. And then you got to think about where you might do something like that. Some have rented big, gigantic houses, and it's easy to accommodate a large number of people. Some are just staying in hotels in the city, or maybe in a small house in the city. I will throw out a plug that Ogle Hall, where I work, is available to be rented, and it's right across from Gate 3, and it still has vacancies in there for plenty of times during the week. So if you have a company party, and it's after Blue Angel Tuesday, and you don't want to have to look for trying to get over into Eastport, you can rent our house and do a party in the backyard. We can hold 350 people in there. So there's options. There's options.
Amazingly for us, Ogle Hall, where we work, the historic house, we still have availability up until and even after commissioning on Friday. So if you need that number, it's just call the front desk, 295-4000, and ask to speak to Wendy Owen if you want to look into renting Ogle Hall for graduation that week.
But there's 1,000 different varieties of options that are going to accommodate your needs. And here's where this might sound negative, but there's a lot of folks on Facebook that will tell you that this is how you have to do graduation. No, you have to do it this way. You must rent the $10,000 house and have it catered, and you must do this. It's the only way to do commissioning week. Horsepucky. Whatever accommodates your family, know the logistical hurdles, know the day events, know what your people need, and then you build your schedule around it. Don't let people tell you that this is the only way to do commissioning week. Yes, ma'am?
A lot of information, but from the perspective of a parent, is there one thing you wish you knew
I know the presentation is built on a lot of experience, but is there one thing as a mom and a dad you wish you knew or you wish that you did in hindsight for commissioning, I'm going to say graduation day?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think I'll let some of the other moms speak up and give their answer. Jan, do you have a thought on that?
We got up so early.
Put you on the spot.
Sorry, can you hear me? We were exhausted because we got up so early. So our thing was let all the mids go, and then we came later. Remember, Michael and all his. So, but yeah, you just kind of let it flow. Commissioning day, you just gotta eat and hydrate. Yeah, it's.
I would say that part that I listed on there about the emotional part of it, I think that's something I gleaned from Michael, was that we had Jan's mom in town, my parents were coming to the graduation ceremony, and I knew my kid was emotional. I could see it in his face. I don't think that I really had that perspective that week, that I needed him to do this, do that, you got to go see this, you got to do that. I don't think that it really clicked on me till the end of the week how emotional he was about saying goodbye to his company mates and classmates. So I think that's probably one takeaway that I would have.
And I've done this with 4 different families now, and not mine, but the kids that have lived with us. Just let your kids talk to you and tell you what they want to do. Don't try to, like we said, don't make them, unless they love their grandparents a lot, don't make them go to dinner with grandma. There's other things that they want to do. There's a lot of things that they're going to have to do. I have one has like 2 or 3 different extracurriculars that she's going to have to do a bunch of stuff with the ceremonies and so forth. Don't expect her to